walk, 11 strikeouts. Paul Skenes is just filthy. He is unhittable, and he needs to be, I don't know why he's still out, why he's still available in a certain portion of leagues. He should not be available in any leagues. He should be rostered everywhere. He should be 100% rostered. And I don't get why he's still somewhat available on the waiver wire. And before we get to the waiver wire, I'm going to give you my 5 best hitter matchups this week. My 5th best hitter matchup this week is the Rays. They've got 6 games all in, but I still like that matchup for the Mariners. But I love the matchup against the Nationals, even though we don't know who their 3-game set who's pitching for them yet. Now we get to the waiver wire. 80 guys under 80% rostered. You will hear me talk about one of these guys twice in the, I think, no. No, you will not hear me talk about one of these guys twice. These are all guys under 80% roster. The first one is Taj Bradley of the Rays. 18.3% rostered. And with Taj, I think he needs to be rostered in a lot more leagues. It is just, it's deceitful how few leagues he is rostered in. Under 20% of leagues. He needs to be rostered in more than 20% of leagues. I think he's going to be a key contributor the rest of the year for the Rays in a rotation. And you will hear me talk about another starting pitcher in a minute. Number 2 on the list is White Sox starting pitcher Garrett Crochet. His roster rate has dropped to 57.4%. I don't understand why he's under 60% rostered. He needs to be rostered in over 60% of leagues. And I don't understand why he isn't. He's had a really good season transitioning from the bullpen into the White Sox rotation. And I think he's another guy that you could get 6-7 innings out of every time he goes out and 8 or 9 strikeouts. Next one is Mets prospect rookie starting pitcher Christian Scott. And Scott is another guy that needs to be rostered in every single league. He's 13% rostered right now. I don't understand. One week he's 20% rostered. Then the next week he's 18. Now he's at 13. Why does his roster rate keep fluctuating? I understand the whole 2-start thing, but I think Chris Scott needs to be rostered regardless of how many starts he makes per week. And the last one is Ryan Pepiot of the Rays. 52.7% rostered. Pepiot is slated to return this week. It sounds like he might start on Wednesday because the Rays have not announced a starter yet for Wednesday. So Pepiot would go on Wednesday for the Rays against Boston. And I would recommend rostering him. He was pitching really well before he got hurt. And now we get to my 5 hitter matchups I do not like this week. The 5th worst hitter matchup for me is the Rockies. They've got 3 games at the A's and 3 at home against the Phillies. Now this is a weird schedule for them. I like their hitter matchups when they're at home the whole week compared to when they have a home series and an away series. So they're my 5th worst hitter matchup this week. But I would feel confident in that 3-game set at Oakland if you have to stream any Rockies. Number 4 header matchup I do not like this week is the Pirates. 3 versus the Giants, 3 versus the Braves. And the matchup I do not like here is that 3-game set against the Braves. I know they've been struggling, but their pitching has been doing really good this season. And they might get Sale in that series, for all we know. We don't know the pitching matchups yet, but if it is Sale, I would not start any Pirates. Again, I'm going to pick on the poor old Marlins. And you may hear me talk about their manager in a few minutes in the MLB Rundown. But I do not like their matchups this week. 6 games, 3 versus the Brewers, 3 at the Diamondbacks. I do not like that Diamondbacks because they're probably going to get Montgomery and they're probably going to get Brandon Pfaadt. Again, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to get. And I'm skeptical on starting any Marlins this week in fantasy unless you desperately need to and you don't have any other options. Number 2 hitter matchup I don't like this week is the Tigers. 7 games, 3 at Kansas City, 4 versus the Blue Jays. I don't like that 3-game set in Kansas City. And I think it starts tomorrow night. So I don't like it because of the pitching. You might get Brady Singer. You might get Cole Reagans. You might get Seth Lugo. Might get Michael. I think Waka's going in that first game of the series, which is either tonight or tomorrow night. And I do not like that. Waka's pitched relatively good this year. And I don't like the fact that Waka doesn't walk a lot of batters this year. So I would avoid my Tigers. And my number 1 hitter matchups I don't like this week is the Twins. 6 games, 3 at the Nationals, 3 versus the Rangers. Okay, I'm going to say this. I don't mind that 3-game set in Washington. It's the Rangers matchups that scare me. Their pitching is starting to come along and figure it out. And other than Michael Lorenzen, which I would steer clear of Lorenzen unless you really are desperate with your starting pitching. Now we get to my 2 start pitchers I like this week. I've got 3 for you. Wait, no. I've got must-start pitchers in all formats that have 2 starts this week. And there's 4 of them. The first one is Kyle Bradish of the Orioles. At the Cardinals, at the White Sox. I like both of these matchups for Bradish. He has been he's been really good this year so far. Not to say that can't change, but I like the matchups for Bradish, and I would add him and stream him in all formats. Number 2 is Mariners starting pitcher Brian Wu. He's got 2 starts this week, and they're at the Yankees, at the Nationals. I would say if you're feeling gutsy, start him against the Yankees, but I'd feel a lot more confident and comfortable starting him in that 3-game set when he pitches in Washington. Start him against the Nationals. Next one is Tosh Bradley. He goes tonight against the Red Sox at home. And then he goes against Kansas City. I would start him in both of those. All formats for these 4 guys. And the last guy is Tigers' Reese Olson. at the Royals, at home against the Blue Jays. I would start him in both of those matchups. Guys, best left for points leagues. All points leagues. I've got 3 here. I've got Gavin Stone of the Dodgers. He goes versus the Diamondbacks and at the Reds. Now, the one issue I have with Stone, yes, use him in points leagues. He's not going to get you a lot of strikeouts, though. And that's the main thing that you need is strikeouts in fantasy baseball. And he's not going to get you a lot of those. He'll get you 2 or 3 a start, but that's going to hurt your totals. Casey Mize. He's got 2 starts at the Royals versus the Blue Jays. Casey Mize is another one. He will get you a lot of strikeouts, but from time to time, he has the tendency to walk batters. And that's what worries me a little bit, is him walking batters and not being able to find the zone. And the last one is the Royals, Michael Wacha. He goes at the Tigers and at the Rays. I like that Royals. I like the Tigers matchup better than I do the Rays because I think the Rays are going to – it's one of his former teams. I think the Rays will hit him around and knock him out of the game. And the no thanks. And there's 3 on here. I've got Marcus Stroman versus the Mariners and at the Padres. Nope, I don't want anything to do with that. Especially the Padres, the way they're hitting the ball. Nope. Maybe if you're feeling risky, maybe at home against Seattle, but not against San Diego. Brewers, Joe Ross at the Marlins, at the Red Sox. I know I said I don't like the Marlins matchups for hitting, but when they face Joe Ross, that is the only time I might feel confident in streaming any Marlins is against Joe Ross. And the last one is Athletic starting pitcher Aaron Brooks. He starts versus the Rockies and versus the Astros. Now, I don't mind the Astros one. I don't mind the Rockies one. Astros, absolutely, positively not. No. Steer clear of the Astros. They're going to probably hit them around. And now we get to the last part of weekend recap. It is waiver wire hitters. And I've got 4 of them. I've got Angels outfielder Joe Adele. 14.1% rostered. Adele's a guy, I think we can say he's safely breaking out. He is breaking out. He hit his 8th home run of the season and stole his 8th base over the weekend. And he's playing basically every day, and his strikeout rate is still reasonable. He's not striking out a lot, which is a good thing. You want guys that don't strike out a lot. Number 2, if you need help at catcher, because we know how sparse catcher can be in fantasy baseball, Connor Wong of the Boston Red Sox. He is only 10.7% rostered. And I think he's a guy that needs to be rostered in a lot more leagues. He's hitting over 300 on the season. Then you've got Tigers second baseman / outfielder Winfield Perez. Perez is only 4.5% rostered. So he's some would say widely available. He is available in a lot of leagues. And I feel like he needs to be rostered more. And then you've got a guy that's starting to get picked up in some leagues, but he's only 4.3% rostered. That is Luke Raley. Immense power for Raley. Immense. And I think he needs to be picked up more. Now we get to part 2 of the show, and it is MLB Rundown. This is where I recap I talk about just overall baseball. And we're going to start with the Rays. They took 2 out of 3 in Toronto. They got shut out. They lost 5-2 yesterday in Toronto. And I was not really thrilled with some of the decisions Kevin Cash made. I think Aaron Savali needs to be taken out of the rotation when Ryan Pepio comes back. And I would love to hear what y'all have to say down in the comments section down below. Who do you think the Rays should remove from the rotation between Aaron Savali and Tyler Alexander? But the Rays did have a good road trip. They only lost 2 games the entire road trip. They lost 1 in Boston and 1 in Toronto. And Toronto's bullpen was trying to blow the game yesterday against the Rays. They were trying really hard to. And I thought they were going to, but they brought in Jordan Romano, and he ended up getting the save. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the umpiring. And how do I do this without sounding like I'm ranting? Which I kind of am going to rant. The umpiring this year has been horrible. I'll give you 2 examples. And they're both examples where a manager gets thrown out of the game. The first one is Aaron Boone, the Yankees. I'm not a Yankees fan. This is coming from a Rays fan. Yankees fans, I feel bad for you when Aaron Boone got kicked out of that game because they showed the fan in the stands clearly chirping the umpire, but yet the umpire thought it was Aaron Boone saying something, but he didn't say a word, and he got ejected from the game. How are you going to throw a manager out of the game for not saying a word? That's blasphemy. It blows my mind. Second incident. The Marlins a couple days, like a week and a half ago, Skip Schumacher didn't even say a word, and the home plate umpire tosses him out of the game when again it was somebody in the stands that sitting behind the dugout. How in the world are you going to tell me that Skip Schumacher said something and throw him out of the game when he heard? And then the other thing I'm going to say on this, the whole umpiring debacle, is the strike zone. The strike zone has been awful the entire season. From all the home plate umpires, the strike zone has been horrible. Say this is the little box. Here's a pitch that is maybe a foot outside the box, 2 feet, and it's a strike. How is that a strike? It is 2 feet outside the zone. 2 feet. 2 to 3 feet outside the strike zone. And you're going to tell me that's a strike. I think you need to go get your eyes checked. And this is a rant, but it's not me complaining. I have a valid gripe. I see it from all the other MLB fans too. Whether it be Cubs fans, Yankees fans, Red Sox fans, Blue Jays fans, they would agree with me. The umpiring behind the plate has been awful. Whether it be balls or strikes, whether it be players getting ejected for just tossing your helmet toward the dugout after they strike out to end an inning, or even saying 2 words to the umpire, and then the umpire is like, "That's it, you're gone." It doesn't make any sense. Make it sense, please, MLB. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. On the strike zone, throwing players out, throwing managers out of the game. If you're going to throw managers out of the game, why don't you start throwing fans out of the game that have been heckling? That the fans, there's certain fans, when they go to games, all they go to do is heckle. Whether it be players, umpires. If you're going to throw managers out of the game, start throwing fans, start ejecting fans for heckling. And that'll help. That will help the whole, let's throw Skip Schumacher out of the game. Let's throw Aaron Boone out of the game because they didn't say anything. It was somebody sitting behind them, but yet we're going to throw them out of the game because it's always them chirping. No, it's not. If there was instant replay, you would see it was the guy sitting behind the dugout that said it. I'm done with that rant. On to the next part. My updated managers top 4, and these are the guys that I think might get fired or relieved of their duty as their team's manager. Number 4, Oliver Marmol, Cardinals. Okay, so with Marmol, I've been really skeptical of him because, first of all, Victor Scott should not have made the team out of spring training if you weren't going to play him every day and let him get through his struggles at the big league level. I understand you had a lot of injuries in the outfield to start the season, but you could have sent somebody else down. Same with Jordan Walker. That just didn't make sense to me. That I understand he was your opening day right fielder. But why is he still on the team if he's struggling? Why not? And you did the right thing by sending him back down to the minor leagues to try to put him in less pressure situations. And I don't mind that. But your mismanagement of your pitching rotation, Liberatore should have been in the rotation to start the season. We all know that Steven Matz is not a good starting pitcher in MLB. He is not good. So, Liberatore should have been in the rotation to start the year. And Tink Hintz should have been up in the big leagues to start the year in the rotation. You should have gone with a 6-man rotation. But the other reason I think you might get fired is because you're rebuilding. I don't think you're going to go anywhere. You're probably not winning your division. It's probably going to either be the Cubs or the Brewers. I would have said the Reds, but the Reds are another team that you're going to see their manager on this list. At number 3, I've got the Marlins Skip Schumacher. And there's already been rumblings that he's probably going to get fired, whether it be during the season or when the season ends. And I was scratching my head when they made this hire because there's other good managers available on the market for the Marlins to go after when they fired the manager they previously had. And I didn't agree with Skip Schumacher being hired. And I think they need to get a younger manager, or maybe a Rodney Linares, who's a hitting coach right now from Milwaukee. Maybe a Brady Williams, who's the third base coach for the Rays. Somebody like that can help these young guys, young players develop and grow, because they're going to have a fire sale at the deadline. They're going to trade Jazz Chisholm. They're going to trade Tanner Scott, Jesus Luzardo, maybe Brian De La Cruz, which that would probably not be too smart, but if you could get a lot back for De La Cruz, because you have other outfielders in the minor league system that are ready to come up. Number 2, Pedro Grifolo, Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are another team that are in the middle of a rebuild, and we've been hearing numerous rumblings and rumors of some of their big guys getting traded. Like, off the top of my head, Luis Robert, Michael Kopech, Eric Fed, I would have said Dylan Cease, but he was already traded. Garrett Crochet, maybe. So if they all get traded, I think Grifolo's gone either during the year and they hire an interim manager, they promote from within and have an interim manager until the offseason, or in the offseason, they get Pedro Grifolo and hire somebody else. And number one, unfortunately, as a Cincinnati Reds supporter / fan, David Bell. I know the Reds just gave him an extension, but the Reds are underperforming big time. And that might cost David Bell his job, whether it be in the offseason or during the season. But I think David Bell is as good as see you bye. Here's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. And now we've got slumping hitters. And I've got 2 of them for you. The first one is Reds third baseman / first baseman, Jeimer Candelario. And Candelario's hitting .230 on the season. I think the way Candelario turns it around is he simplifies his swing. Simplifies. He doesn't try to hit a home run every at bat. He takes what the pitcher's giving him, whether it be a base hit back up the middle or a walk or every once in a while a home run. And then we've got Rays outfielder, center fielder, Jose Siri. Mr. Siri is hitting .174. And I think the way Jose Siri is going to reverse that batting average and make it better is the same thing I just said for Candelario. Simplify. Take what the pitcher gives you. It could be a home run, it can be a single, it can be a hit back up the middle, down the line. If you do that, I think you turn around that 174 average into like 250, 260 with 5 or 6 more home runs and a bunch more stolen bases. And now we're going to preview the Rays' upcoming 6-game homestand against the Red Sox and the Royals. Starting with their game tonight against the Red Sox. And the matchup, the pitching matchup is a doozy. It is Taj Bradley against Tanner Houck. This was supposed to be, and I say supposed to be because he's not coming back. This was supposed to be Garrett Whitlock for the Red Sox, but he has been shut down for, I'm going to say indefinitely, because of an elbow injury, elbow soreness. And I don't know when he's coming back. So this is Tanner Houck for the Red Sox going tonight against Taj Bradley. And in a minute, you will see my prediction on Mr. Taj Bradley. But the Rays got 3 against Boston, 3 against Kansas City. And I have made a bold prediction in the Rays part of MLB predictions MLB bold predictions, which you will see here in a little bit. The Reds got and now we're going to preview the Reds 9-game homestand. 3 with the Padres, 3 with the Dodgers, and 3 with the Cardinals. The Reds finally come home after a subpar road trip, and that's to put it nicely. And the first team in on this homestand for them is the Dodgers, who they just finished a 4-game set with in LA. They won the first game, and they lost the second and third game, and I think they also lost yesterday. And like I said, the Reds are slumping. Maybe being back at Great American Ballpark can help the Reds break out of this little goof they're in and help them get back on the winning track. And the final part of the show today, we're going to go over part 3 is MLB bold predictions, and we're going to start with the Rays. I have 3 bold predictions for the Rays and 3 bold predictions for MLB. My bold predictions for the Rays, I think the Rays sweep Boston and take 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. Now, can I see them taking 2 out of 3 from both? I can. Or can I see them going undefeated on this homestand? I absolutely can. Should it happen, that would be, I would say, come back and clip this part of the video next week and tell me what a genius I am. If you feel like clipping the video and telling me how spot on I was of the Rays either sweeping Boston, taking 2 out of 3 from Boston, and either sweeping Kansas City or taking 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. My second bold prediction for the Rays this week is I think Josh Lowe finally has his big breakout, big week for the Rays this week, whether it be home runs or I think it's going to be in the way of stolen bases. I think he's going to get on base a lot against the Red Sox and the Royals, and he's going to have a big week on the bases, stealing bases. And then my final bold prediction is I think Taj Bradley strikes out 9 Red Sox tonight. And I think that is a hefty bold prediction, and I think it's going to pay off. Now to my MLB bold predictions. I think Paul Skenes will strike out 12 San Francisco Giants in his start against the Giants this week. If you heard me talk about Paul Skenes back at the beginning of the show in Fantasy Baseball Weekend recap, I told you that he had 11 strikeouts against the Cubs. I think he's going to outdo that by 1 strikeout this week at his start and strike out 12. I think Ellie De La Cruz ends this week at 40. He's already at around 31, 32 because he probably did have a couple steals yesterday. So I think by the end of the week, he'll be at 40 stolen bases. And the last one is I think Jared Jones strikes out 10 San Francisco Giants. It's just a little, and some programming news. Friday night, we will have a watch along of the Tampa Bay Rays Kansas City Royals game at 6:50 p.m. And also Thursday at will be episode 1 of our MLB franchise mode MLB The Show franchise 2024 Colorado Rockies. And if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a thumbs up on the video and leave your thoughts in the comment section. And again, please remember to have Brian Battie and his family in your thoughts and prayers. And also tonight at 10 o'clock will be another episode in the College Football Podcast. We will see y'all at 10 o'clock.